2020.
Yeah.
My name is Jennifer Lee, and I'm a partnership specialist for the United States Census Bureau in Orange County, and I'm honored to be your MC for today. On behalf of the United States Census Bureau and the Regional Census Office in LA, thank you for accepting our invitation to attend this summit today. I want to recognize that today marks 34 days until our official census benchmark day. So today and the next 34 days are crucial for your partnership and your help to motivate our community to respond on Census Day, April 1st, 2020. Today, I'd like to take the opportunity for all of us to share knowledge, learn insight, discuss ideas, and showcase important work that you have already been doing in our communities. I am pleased to announce that we are joined today by 125 important census partners across 6 states. At this time, let's recognize the 6 states who have joined us today. First, our first state would be the state of Oregon. Can we have a shout out for Oregon?
Yes.
Please stand if you are from the state of Oregon. Thank you. Thank you for your attendance. Next, we have the state of Nevada. Would you please rise? Nevada, thank you. Next, we have the state of Washington. Would you please stand? State of Washington. Thank you. Next, we have the state of Alaska. Thank you. Next, we have the state of Hawaii.
Thank you.
And last but not least, the state of California. Would you please stand?
Yeah. Everybody from California.
Thank you all for your attendance. We know that you have busy schedules and demanding workload, but still you gathered today so that we can collaborate as Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community. Thank you very much. Today, in order to make this summit as informative, entertaining, and interactive as possible, we have an action-packed agenda ahead. If you would please take a look at your folder, the burgundy folder in front of you, and open your page to the agenda. I'd like to briefly go over what action-packed agenda items we have for today. First, we would like to make it interactive and informative and entertaining. Informative through 3 keynote speakers that have joined us today to speak, each 1 hour keynote speaking time. No, not just kidding. It's not a 1 hour speaking time. We want to make it informative and entertaining. So they have lended us their time for a 10-minute brief speaking opportunity to share out their experiences, best practices, and one keynote speaker will share about their personal experience from the 70s and 90s of how census data affects our Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community. Next, we will be going through breakout sessions. We have 2 available, I'm sure outside at check-in. If you have not done so already, please choose which breakout session that you would like to attend. The first will be you've created a complete count committee, or CCC. Now what? We will be overviewing census create-a-thons, creative ways to share with our census partners, mobile questionnaire assistance centers called MQA, as well as train the trainer. And we will be joined by U.S. Census Bureau moderators Joseph Contreras and Dina Duella. The second session in that same breakout session, number 1, will be Busting Census Fears and Rumors. And we will be addressing misconceptions, confidentiality, as well as fears. We will be moderated by U.S. Census Bureau Val Red, as well as James Squee. If you have not done so already, please make your selection so that we can accommodate the number of people that will be attending each session. The second breakout session, to make this as informative for you as possible, will be breakout session by AAPi languages. We have 4 available. First will be Vietnamese in crystal room number 1, which is right next to us, to my left, your right. And the second will be language in Chinese, and that will be in Monarch Room 1. So there is a change from your agenda. I know it says Monarch Room 4. It will be in Monarch Room 1 because this is a larger room that can hold all of our attendees. The other will be Korean, and that will be available in Monarch Room number 2. So that will be a change to a larger room, and that will be down the hall where the check-in desk area is. And we have partnership specialists available to direct you to the Monarch Room 1 and 2. The last will be encompassing all AANHPI languages available, and that will be in Crystal Room A2. That will be again to your right and my left of this ballroom. We also want to make this entertaining and interesting for you as well. We will be showcasing and launching for the first time ever in Census 2020. We have a partner that have created, choreographed, performed a music video to Census 2020 song. So we will be hopefully enjoying this launching of the official Census song music video. The second entertainment that we have for you is at the end of our agenda. We will be joined by a Youth Complete Count Committee, CCC, and they will be doing a live presentation for us. This is a collaboration of youth in Orange County, in junior high school and high school level, who are committed to bring the awareness to their campus. So they will be joining us, rushing after school to join us for that brief presentation. I'd like to go over some housekeeping information for your comfort. Just outside to your back, you will be making a right to the ladies as well as the gentlemen's restroom. So again, it'll be out, and to my right will be the restrooms. We will also have featured a very generous partners that have provided snack table to my far right. In the back of the room, we will have snacks available. We also have coffee, tea, and water. And during lunchtime, which is held at 12:30 to 1:30, to my left, we will have generous partners providing Asian lunch for us. So please stay and enjoy that. Yes, I see applause for all of you. Thank you to our sponsors. Now to start us off and to kick off the Summit 2020 for Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Summit 2020, please help me to welcome Victoria Nguyen with an overview of Census 2020. Victoria, please come to the stage.
Hi, my name is Victoria Nguyen. I am a media specialist for the U.S. Census Bureau. So I just want to welcome my new colleague, April. She's just joined us last week. She's going to be handling the Chinese media outlet. So if anyone wants to do anything in regards to with Chinese media, please contact April. So I'm just going to be very brief. I don't want to, get you guys fall asleep with this long presentation here, but my main job is to work with all of the media outlets out there, all the Asian Americans. So in the last 3 weeks, we've been super busy. So I'm just going to give an overview of what we've been doing this month. So far, I've and my colleagues, we've been traveling around California to do tons of interviews. For me, I've done at least close to 30 interviews the last 2.5 weeks with all the Vietnamese television to talk about census and raise the awareness. So coming up, we will have 3 phases. So basically, I'm just sharing very briefly. But this is the Census 20 101. I would say you guys know the basic 101. So I'm gonna skip everything. I'm not gonna say everything here because it's you know. Can you please go straight to page? Oh, thank you. please, right here? Okay. Is there, but can you show me where it is? I'm just gonna go straight to the media portion because I don't want you to fall asleep hearing me speak 20 plus pages here. Oh, thank you. This one? Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna skip straight to, of course, Census is very easy, safe, and important. Please share with your friends and family members. Coming up April 1st is a crucial date. Okay, so I'm going to skip straight to the media page. One more note, I just want to remind you, please let your friends and family know if they need a part-time job, they want to make about $5,000 in 6 weeks. Coming up, be a census takers, please encourage them to apply to work at Census and go straight to 2020 census.gov/jobs to apply here. Let me go straight to, before I go straight to the media page, another note I just want to share with everyone, please remember that there are 3 ways to fill out census this year: internet, phone, or paper. So it's very convenient.
Water.
They have tea also, right? There's coffee, tea, and water.
A lot of people reach out to me and my colleagues and ask about the paid media. So I just want to let everyone know that we at in the Census media department, we don't handle paid media campaign. We only take care of the press releases, the news, the PR, and any of our partners, specialist partner who needs to, someone would like to interview you and promote Census. Our job is to make sure that you reach out to us, and then we get the request from headquarters, and then if when they approve, then we will say yes, you can go on X station or X TV to do an interview, talk about Census. So we don't handle paid media campaigns, so that's just a note to share with your partners if they asked. So this year we have 12 languages, including English, will be 13 languages to fill out the form. As you know, it's very clear here. So this is what we've been doing since starting the 2nd week of Feb. We have in the Chinese community, we have a partnership specialist. Her name is Carol Shi. She's from the Bay Area, so she's been traveling all north and south and doing all the TV and radio interviews in the Chinese community. And we also have Julian Lee, who's been handling the Korean media interviews the last 2.5 weeks. Myself, Victoria Nguyen. My Vietnamese name is Nguyen Nguyen. I used to work for Vietnamese television, and my stage name is Victoria Bo Nguyen. So some might know, but most of you probably don't know Nguyen, which is good. So Victoria is good. So we've been just really busy traveling all over and just to get the word out. So coming up, phase 1 actually is happening right now. All the Asian media outlets from Chinese to Korean to Vietnamese, they're start airing phase 1 segment right now, and phase 1 is the awareness phase. And phase 2 will be starting the first week through the end of April, and that's the motivation phase. And the final phase, phase 3, will be reminder of everyone. Make sure to remind them to fill out the census form. So that's what we've been doing. You can see this hectic calendar. So please share with your friends, family, partners. Remind them about census on April 1st. But if they receive the form on March 12th, please remind them, ask them just fill out ASAP, as soon as possible. Don't wait, because if they wait, they're gonna forget. If they forget, they will receive a second reminder. If they forget, and then By April 1st, if they don't fill out, then they will receive a few more reminders, and then after that, census takers will come to their home and knock and make sure that they will fill out the forms. So our job is just to make sure we remind everyone to fill out census form by April 1st. So that's it. Thank you. Very simple. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're a great MC. I give you an A+.
Okay, thank you, Victoria, for your kind words. I am a novice, but I am excited to be in front of you today because I am looking at very important partners in our AAPi community. Each of you represent important organizations. You are trusted voices, and you have built this trust over a long period of time, and I am honored to be in front of you today. Right now, let's move on to our first keynote speaker. Our first keynote speaker is Judy Wu, and she is a professor of Asian American Studies at the University of California, Irvine. She's a director of the Humanities Center, and she received her PhD in U.S. History from Stanford University. Judy Wu is working on a book that focuses on Asian American and Pacific Islander women who attended the 1977 National Women's Conference. Currently, she is a co-editor of Women and Social Movements in the United States and editor for Amerasia Journal. We are pleased to welcome our first keynote speaker, Ms. Judy Wu.
Bravo.
Good morning, everybody. It's such an honor to be here. And I have to confess, I'm only first because I have to go back to my campus for some work obligations. I wish I could stay because I think I'm going to learn so much from all the speakers in the workshops today. I first want to begin by thanking June Wang. Is June here? Yes, thank you so much. So June Wang is the partner specialist for Orange County, and she's been a wonderful collaborator. I believe I first met June through a series of meetings, very importantly lunches, that were hosted by AAPi, and you'll have a chance to meet Marianne Fu, who's the executive director of the Orange County Asia Pacific Islander Community Alliance. I always have to look it up. And she has such a wonderful vision of gathering together all the community-based organizations as well as Asian American Studies programs in Orange County so that we can come together and discuss the ways in which we can advance our efforts to support the AA and HPI communities in Orange County. And at the top of the agenda was the census. June also had a chance to speak to a group of Asian American Studies professors and program supporters in Southern California. And more recently, we've been doing work together at UC Irvine, forming a committee to promote a complete count at UC Irvine. Our students, like I think many of the students maybe on your campuses, are multiply considered hard to count. Students in general are considered hard to count. But we're a majority minority campus. We're considered an AAPi, a federally designated Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander serving institution, and we're also an Hispanic serving institution. Plus, many of our students are first generation, no income, and so as I said, there's multiple ways in which they can be undercounted by the census. And so it's wonderful to be able to collaborate together to find creative ways to promote their involvement. In thinking about the census, I wanted to talk about it as a series of conversations that we can have through the census. And I want to talk about this specifically from someone who teaches Asian American Studies and someone who's a historian. So the first conversation for us to think about is that the census is a conversation that we have with the US government. The census is that government's effort to understand who we are, who the population is, who are the people who are living here. And as we're learning, this effort to capture the US population has high stakes. It's the basis for making decisions about political representation. The census is how the government makes decisions about allocation of funding for education and health. There's much at stake for us in how the government understands the people in the United States. And because it is a government-initiated process, it's easy to understand it as a top-down process. However, I'm sure many of you want to emphasize that it's also an opportunity for us as the grassroots to speak back to the US government. It's a way for our communities who have tended to have a vexed relationship with the US state to assert who we are. This is an uneven and difficult dialogue. I think as some of these images images might reveal. The first one is an interrogation scene of a young Chinese boy as he's trying to enter the United States in the midst of exclusion laws. The first census was held in 1790, and that's also the first year the United States government passed the first Naturalization Act. So this is how aliens, people from outside the country, can become members of the United States. And that law said that you could only become a citizen if you were a free white male, right? A free white male. These people who already have power in the United States, they are the only ones who are allowed to come in. Asian immigrants constitute a tiny portion of the US population in 1790. The first recorded settlements in the United States, or what became the United States, were Filipino sailors who had traveled around the world in Spanish galleons, abandoned their ships, and landed in Louisiana in 1763, so even before the United States was founded. But that law that was passed in 1790 was used when larger numbers of Asian immigrants coming to the United States. And that's why Asian immigrants as a whole tended to be considered aliens and ineligible for citizenship. They could not meet those racial requirements for citizenship. And these laws against citizenship, in conjunction with immigration laws, is what creates this idea of Asian Americans as forever foreign. We can never fully become American citizens. The middle image that you see is what's considered the Asiatic barred zone. So after immigration laws were passed, exclusion laws were passed against the Chinese, the Gentleman's Agreement against Japan, this region of the world was designated for exclusion by the United States. Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders have a similarly vexed history with the U.S. state. The U.S. possession of the islands in the Pacific, as you can see on the third map, I'm sorry about the smallness of the image, but many of these islands became part of the U.S. empire in the middle of the 19th century, and most importantly at the end of the 19th century. As the United States went to war with Spain, it also decided it wanted to become a global power and take over the Pacific. These islands allow the U.S. Navy to navigate the Pacific and gain access to markets in Asia. This is the U.S. effort to compete with the French, with the Germans, with the British, and the Japanese empires. And it was through the control of islands and ports that allowed the United States to become a global power. This history of empire has a contemporary legacy. For example, the testing of nuclear weapons on the Marshall Islands has displaced the Marshallese and led to long-term health consequences for the people, the lands, and the waters of the Pacific. So the prospect of speaking back to the US government is rather daunting. It is not a neutral conversation. It is a conversation laden with power, especially in a contemporary context in which the head of the state seeks to assert a particular vision of the United States going back to the 1790s by fueling hatred and suspicion towards immigrants, refugees, and Asian nations. So it's a very difficult task to inspire people who have a right to be wary of the United States, that it's their chance to have a conversation with this nation. However, by being counted, by participating in the census, we're demanding not to be invisibilized and marginalized. Instead, we're saying that despite the efforts to exclude us physically, politically, culturally, and socially, we are here. And we're demanding political recognition. We're demanding that the social challenges that we face, poverty, racism, healthcare access, housing insecurity, education access, need to be addressed. We are demanding that the categories of the census reflect the diversity within our communities by having separate designations for people of diverse national and island backgrounds. So the census is not a one-way conversation, but a dialogue to assert that we, the people, want what we want in terms of political recognition. The second conversation that the census allows us to have is to have a conversation with the past. And I realize that maybe this is something I'm particularly interested in because I'm a historian, but I think it's important for all of us to understand where we come from to figure out where we want to go. But how do we know about the past? History has been tended to be written by the victors. Traditionally, it is about the people who have power and influence, largely about elite white men. When the social movements of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, including the Asian American movement, demanded that United States society demand and recognize the history of racism, imperialism, and patriarchy, historians tend to shrug their shoulders and ask, how can we study those without power, the non-elites? They tended not to write, or at least their writings were not preserved in prestigious activity, right, in prestigious archives. They were not important in the past, and so they continue not to be important in terms of historical memory. In response, scholars interested in issues like race, gender, and class came up with new methods of doing history. Some pioneered oral history, the use of spoken word to understand people's lives. And here I want to acknowledge the work of my colleagues at UCI, and especially the Stories, the Oral History Project for Native Americans. Others have argued that we need to change the way we practice archival collection so that they help to preserve what is valuable for marginalized communities. And here again, I want to point to the work of the Southeast Asian Archive at UCI, which is very much invested in preserving the voices and experiences of community members. And others turn to statistical information and reinterpret them to read between the lines to understand the lives of ordinary people. For all the immigrants and refugees who have been interrogated for entry into the United States, there are records of their encounters with the state. So how might we reread these materials to understand what is expected of immigrants and refugees to allow them to enter the country? How might we reread these records for acts of subtle agency and perhaps overt resistance? What social networks and resources and internal forms of resistance do they draw upon to support their resilience? The U.S. Census is a crucial source for us to understand our past. It is inherently flawed due to errors in counting and classification. However, it's still a powerful tool. When I was doing research on my first book, a biography of the first Chinese American female doctor, and you see a picture of her in her second year medical class. She's the only woman, she's the only Asian in this class of medical school where I think they're second year medical school students at the University of Southern California. So just imagine being in that context, right? I could trace her family life through the census, and that image at the top is of her father. He started out he started carrying the records initially as a merchant, but then he eventually did all sorts of jobs. He worked as a farmer, he worked as a rancher. And I think what's happening here is that he's selling fruits off the back of his truck. This is a lot of things that Asian immigrants did in the 19th century and early 20th century to survive economically. And what I think is very interesting is that he's holding a book, and it's possibly a Bible. They were Christians. And so he was passing the time as he was engaging in making a living. But I found out about their lives, not just through these pictures, but through the census. I found out where they lived, even down to the street and address, who they lived with, who their neighbors were, how did they survive economically, how the census recorded their ethnic and racial backgrounds. This very minute information is only available for materials that are older than 72 years old. So all the materials are kept confidential until you're past, presumably, the lifespan of an average individual. But it's a treasure